Okay, so in this game I play Fizz against Pyke mid lane. Now Pyke isn't a very popular mid lane player, of course, but I think the reason this player might have picked Pyke was because Pyke seems to be a popular Fizz counter. So although I had trouble fighting Pyke, it didn't really matter because I didn't spend more than around 30% of the game in my lane, and with all the roaming that I did, I ended up being involved in 2/3 of my team's kills, so I thought this would be a good game to showcase with Fizz, and it was a lot of fun for me as well. Right now I'm only a mastery level 2 or so on Fizz, but the reason why I love this champion is because he matches my playstyle so well, because I always find myself jumping into situations or staying in situations for too long that I just shouldn't be in. And Fizz is the type of champion, because he's so annoyingly jumpy, that he can just jump in and out of situations very, very easily. It makes it a lot more difficult for him to die, which is why in this game I didn't actually end up dying at all. So with Fizz, the first ability that I level up and also max out is his E, which I think is his most important. What Fizz's E does is, for a short amount of time, after having cast his E, he is untargetable by any damage, so he can't be the target of any other champion's abilities, he can't be the target of a turret, he can't be targeted by any monsters or anything. Which is why the E is the ability that I use to engage in a trade, just like the one that you saw there. So whenever the enemy champion tries to trade with me by casting one of their abilities, I'll try and use my E to dodge their ability and then go for a trade which will most likely work in my favor. So right now, even though Pyke is on low health, what I'm waiting for are my Q, W and E to cool down, and I have my electrocute ready. So just to quickly break down Fizz's other abilities, Fizz's Q is also a great way to maneuver around your opponent, because you're able to dash through the enemy, so you end up on the other side of them. And of course that's really essential to not only deal damage, but also allow you to dodge any abilities that may have been cast in your direction. And then you have Fizz's W, where the passive for Fizz's W is that whenever he does a basic attack on an enemy, it makes them bleed, so they'll have continuous damage for the next couple of seconds. So that's the passive. Then when you activate W, it empowers the next basic attack, so it deals a lot more damage than you would normally. And finally you have Fizz's ultimate. Fizz's ultimate is that he throws a fish in a particular direction, and the cast area is quite large for that. If the fish manages to land on a target champion, then it will slow them down significantly, and after a few seconds a shark will come out of the ground and deal damage to the target and also all enemies in close range to that target. On top of that, the further that you throw your fish before it reaches your target, then the more damage the shark will do. So although it might be harder to actually get your enemy, and you'll see that a lot of times I do miss with that, it will deal more damage, so you have a better chance of getting the takedown. So here you'll see a good example of what the ultimate looks like. And it's also a great way to escape an enemy as well, because the ultimate has a lot of CC. So first it slows them down, and then when the shark comes out of the ground, it also knocks them up. So the extended period of time that they're under CC, it allows you to get away as well. Not only get away from a champion, but it allows you to chase down champions effectively also. So the ultimate can be used in a number of different ways. So here, Yi died, came to Drake, died again, so that was a bit of a waste. And now Pyke thinks that he can 1v4, so I guess it doesn't say much that I did well in this game, but I'll take what I can get. The items that I like to build with Fizz are typically Hex Protobelt, Lichbane and Zhonya's Hourglass. Those are the three main go-to items that I usually pick for Fizz. So the reason why I pick those three, especially as the first items, is not only just because of the ability power that it provides, but also because they all have CDR. And it's so important for Fizz to have CDR because all of his abilities, even at max level, they all have such high cooldowns. So for Fizz to have CDR is really good for battles because he can potentially use an ability more than once, which is ideal to get a takedown. After having bought those three items, and if I get enough gold and I get into late game, then I usually change my items based on the type of build my opponents have or the type of champions that I'm fighting. So for example, if my opponents build magic resistance, if we have a high AP team, then I might end up getting Void Staff because Void Staff has a very high magic penetration percentage. If I find that my health is always high, but I end up running low on mana a lot of the time, rather than both going down equally, I might end up buying Archangel's Staff, because not only does that solve my mana problems instantly, but it also gives me a large amount of CDR. I think it's 20% CDR, so that also makes it a lot better for me in battles like I mentioned earlier. Okay, so even though they had lost 2 lives for the Rift, it was still worth it. I think I would have personally lost 2 lives for a Rift Herald.
Shut down.
Maybe not 2 of my own lives, but I would happily sacrifice any of my team members for a Rift Herald.
Killing spree.
So I know that Pyke is supposed to be my counter, but at this point, even when I have no full item built, I'm still able to take Pyke one-on-one very easily and get a takedown. So I'm not threatened by him anymore, and now, because I've just reached level 9 and he's dead at level 7, giving us that level gap is going to make it so hard for him to ever battle me. Especially because his only real damaging ability is his ultimate, and I know that he's not going to use his ultimate until my health is low enough. So around 30, maybe 25% health, that's when he's going to use it. So until then I'm not worried. The reason I channeled top was because I had teleport instead of ignite, and that was a complete accident because I forgot to change my spells at the beginning of the game, but it worked out in this case because I saw Darius had summoned the rift and our jungler was on bot side, so I thought I may as well go help out. Even though the rift did take a couple of plates, turret is still there and we got a takedown, so I'd say that that was not the worst. In an ideal situation, Darius wouldn't have his teleport up, or a lot of Darius players don't even take teleport as one of their spells, and if that was the case, then Garen could have taken more than 1 plate. But in this case, the Rift took 3 plates, Garen took 1, so not the worst, but in an ideal situation it could have been 3 for 3. good thing about Pyke's hook, which you may have noticed there, is that when he channels to hook you, it gives it away so easily because you can not only see him channeling, but you can also hear it. And if you learn to hear how his hook sounds, then you can always avoid it because you can press E as soon as you think he's going to hook. And that was the second gank on Darius now. He just makes it so easy because even when he was 0-3, he was still so overextended. So I wasn't worried that I might die in that situation or anything. I had Garen there, and also I wasn't worried because Darius doesn't even have a build. Okay, I definitely just robbed that kill. Oh, I'll take it. And it's at this point that you can tell that I've barely spent any time in lane in the last couple of minutes, and this is how the game goes on. So I don't really spend much time in lane, which is quite bad. I should prioritize mid lane turret, and it hasn't been dropped yet or even barely touched, but it's going pretty well for our team anyway, so. So at this point I am on 83 minion kills, so that's averaging around 5 a minute. It's not the best, but that is something that I'm looking to improve on with Fizz. So I've always found that my minion kills are so low compared to other champions that I play now, and I guess that's just because I'm not as experienced with Fizz. Don't ask why I ignored Darius there. I actually thought he was on my team for some reason when I was playing this game, and then I realized that he was attacking me, so I had to jump away. So what you would have seen there with that Darius takedown is what I've noticed quite a lot with these tankier champs, and that is with Fizz, I haven't mastered one-on-one with tankier champs like that. I don't know if it's possible, but I found that it's a lot easier to one-shot mid laners and a lot of bottom laners as well. But when it comes to top laners, especially the tankier ones, I find that it's a lot harder to get them past around half their health. So if you take a Darius with full health, I'd probably be able to do half, maybe just above half of his health with all of my abilities combined. I should have used my proto belt there. I completely forgot that I had it, and that's a common occurrence with me. I always forget that I have proto belt in battle situations, so if I had remembered, I could have potentially been able to get the takedown, or maybe just about get closer and close enough so that my ultimate would have worked, and me throwing that ultimate was just an act of desperation. That was such a great shot with my ultimate. I'm telling you, that is the reason why they surrendered. It could be no other reason. It was Fizz. I scared them off too much. I'm so proud of that shot. And there it is, that's the game.